What's up, everyone? Just take a look at these and be in awe of the the power. The power. There's so much power here. It's can't be contained. So this is just kind of a look at some of my more pricier cards. Actually, this is a top 10 list of the most expensive cards that I own in my collection. And maybe we'll kind of talk about a little bit of them and as we go. But these ones just kind of stood out for me, like Jewel Lotus, Ancient Tomb, Mox Opal, and the Great Henge. And these all have kind of like a special place, in like different types of phases of my Magic journey. And I feel like the Great Henge has kind of always been there. It's always kind of been like, whether I like, I think I kind of just started this in Standard. I came in a little bit after Eldraine and Ikoria. And I think like a lot of people did in the COVID era. And I was just getting back into Magic. Ikoria stood out to me and I was like, hey man, those look really cool. And I bought a couple and I was like, oh, these are gas. And I just got totally hooked. And it was great. I was watching YouTube videos on it and just kind of, and then getting into Arena and, doing the color challenge and, getting in Mythic the first time and, was getting into Standard. It was just kind of a special time. And the thing is, I didn't know about like EDH at all at that time. I just knew like Standard, and I thought it was customary just to like get like 4 of these things. And when things were going to open up again, I was just going to go to like my local game store and play like Standard decks. And so I had like 4 Great Henges, I had like 4 Terror of the Peaks, I had like probably 7 or 8 Brazen Borrowers because I had like a bunch of decks with them in it, like a bunch of adventure cards, right? And I turned out like, no, it wasn't the case. Like, I don't need 4 of all these cards. I just need 1. So I got to like build my collection up pretty good, but I still have like, I don't think I really traded too many of my Henges off. I think I still have like 3 or 4. Like I feel like it's probably a card that goes into most of my decks. I think it's like about a $50 card. This is a nice foiling one. It can go in a variety of decks, right, guys? Like, it just has a special place. Like, even if you don't maybe play like a high, saturation of creatures, I still think like the Great Henge is still probably pretty decent as long as you're having some way to like kind of cast it for a cheap mana cost. You get that ramp, and then of course when you have a non-token creature entering the battlefield, you get to put a counter on it and draw a card. So it's just fantastic. It's just a great card. So we love the Great Henge, a legendary artifact. What a bomb. All right, so this is like probably getting into the cards that I don't play very often. They're just very highly expensive and they go into like certain niche decks. And like this is obviously a very artifact-centered card. And there's some discussion about the Mox Opal. Obviously, it can go into your very high-powered CEDH decks. However, people I would also say would, and from what I talked about people like on the internet, on the Discords, is that they believe this card is actually, kind of casual friendly because it is contingent upon having, a set amount of artifacts on the battlefield at once. So it's kind of a hit or miss card. You really have to devote your build around to it, right? So it kind of straddles that line where it's just a very strong card. And, it's not like it's totally abusing things like where it just comes out and taps for mana immediately. You really have to kind of meet some criteria to make it tap for mana, of course, which is add 1 mana of any color, activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts. So it counts itself. Okay, 2 more artifacts, could be treasures, could be, other non-token artifacts. It's just any artifacts, 3 or more, and then all of a sudden this thing taps for any color mana, which is great, and it's a 0 cost, so we just love it. Goes into my Maria deck very well, and to be honest, it is just one of those decks that probably goes into my more high-powered Maria decks. And again, another very strong card, depending on the pod that you play in. Obviously, a very powerful card in Ancient Tomb. You can imagine your play patterns with this, with your mana rocks and such, and how explosive your turns can be with it. And just to be able to tap for 2 mana, the time it comes down is just extraordinary. I did get this card at the LGS. It is slightly damaged. It has a little crease here. So I got a little bit of a deal on it, but I got the cool art. I got the expedition art. So it is very cool, and yeah, it's still up there in price. Still a very, very sought after card. And honestly, like I've probably only played this like twice in my life. Like I think I brought my high-powered Mario deck to the LGS. I played it like once. It was just I was just laughing at each of the hands I had because it was just so strong. It's just like, oh, like I can basically just dump my hand out and play Blood Moon on turn one, and you have like a very serious problem. So yeah, Ancient Tomb is just a powerhouse. Fantastic. And then of course Jeweled Lotus, just that other card that just kind of accelerates. Very good for your 3-mana commanders. Like you can just play these on turn one basically. Your four colored commander is really good with this, right? Where like you can just go ahead and tap a blue and then sacrifice this, and then all of a sudden you have your Brago on the battlefield on turn one, which is really good. So yeah, Jeweled Lotus is just one of those awesome accelerants. It's just really no substitute to it other than like a Black Lotus, I suppose. And Jeweled Lotus, of course, is just in Commander Center, just kind of reaches that kind of criteria. And of course, it can just stick around later on if your commander gets removed. Of course, you can use it just to recast. So just a really solid one. I really like this one for my Mario deck because it's never like a dead card. Even if I don't cast Mario with it, I can still tap it for mana, or tap it. Yeah, I could still tap it for mana with Mario's passive ability and still get value from it. So I really like it. So there's those. Those are just bombs. Those are some serious bombs. Some other cards that kind of just roll into my roll into my decks, and they're quite expensive. Now, the thing about Ragavan, I don't know if I was just tripping the other night, but I think I saw it, like, maybe tank? I don't know. The price maybe looked low. Maybe I was just like looking at a different card, but typically I think this card hovers around $50 or so. It used to be more. It definitely went down in price. I did pop this one in a booster, and that was from, was that from March of the Machine? I think so. It was kind of in that kind of special, it's like kind of like a special guest type of feature. So yeah, this is the Ragavan, and it was just a great card. And what I really like about Ragavan, of course, is just kind of that. It can kind of get offensive. It can trade for other mana dorks, which is just kind of interesting. Like, sometimes you can reach parity by just kind of trading off, like this with like a halfling, which is just kind of really interesting kind of dynamics. And also, the fact that it can get a card too and have a chance to look for a card to cast is something. It is kind of a nice advantage. And I really do like this in my Artifact Reanimator deck, where we're sacrificing treasures to have some fodder to get a treasure on the battlefield is kind of big time for us. So I do like Ragavan a lot. It's just a nice legendary. It also turns on your Mox Ambers too. So there's that. Here is the One Ring. And this thing has just shot up in price. I think it's at like $100 now. It's just out of control. And this card is nerfed on the Brawl format, and it does make it a little bit more fair, but it's still very much played in most decks. And even not getting the card, like basically the nerf is that it comes onto the battlefield, does all the things that give you protection and such, but you have to pay 1 into it to draw. You have to actually pay a mana cost to start drawing with it each time you draw. So that is the nerf, and it's probably a pretty reasonable nerf too. And but still, I mean, without the nerf, this thing is just like a bomb, right? You just like, it's just the amount of cards that it generates is kind of unseen of. Like, I see green like kind of draw cards in mass like this, like sometimes with Rishkar's Expertise and Last March of the Ents. The One Ring is very similar when you're just tapping this thing, and like, when it has 3 or 4 burning counters on it, your hand is just like getting fully gripped. It's just like just a whacked out card, and it's indestructible. So it's nigh hard to interact with. Knee hard. It's knee hard to get interacted with us. So yeah, that's that, and that's the One Ring. So it's a bomb. Here's some nice lands to kind of top off the video. And Nykthos is just that nice one. I've had a lot more success in monocolored decks with Nykthos, But hey, if you can make it work in 2 color, the more power to you. You know, maybe you have a certain build around where you have like a lot of green pips or blue pips or white pips. You know, whatever's setting that deck off and making it go. I mean, Nykthos is just like your guy, man. It's just like that absolute mega card where, oh, I love it in mono black too, where all of a sudden like you have like your Necropotence and your other kind of 3 mana, you know, Ayara, and then all of a sudden this thing is tapping for like 6 mana. You're just like, boom, like this thing is tapping for so much mana all of a sudden, you know, and there's not really a penalty. It just taps for colorless anyways, so it's just a crazy card. Really like the Nykthos. Urza Saga. Yeah, this one. I'm not like really an Urza Saga expert, but I do like them. I like how it could be multifaceted. You know, you don't always have to find that soul ring. I mean, it does get ahead if you do fetch that kind of mana accelerant for that chapter 3, but you know, there might be times like for me when I'm going to be making for like a Shriekhorn when I'm playing like my self-mill decks. I like Urza Saga a lot for that. I might be looking for like a Skull Clamp. You know, we love that too, you know, for some of our token decks. So, yeah, Urza Saga, what a bomb. Just a complete bomb. People like to find ways of like recurring Urza Saga too, you know, to kind of keep that Urza Saga train going from the graveyard. So that could be a fun interaction with, especially with like cards like Blossoming Tortoise now and Aftermath Analyst. Those cards are very cool. Yeah, even like a Sarah Paragon too, right? Sarah Paragon, all those cards that like kind of can cast things from your graveyard or play things from your graveyard, right? All right, here is our Mana Confluence, and this is just these are just very pricey cards. It's just basically like a City of Brass, right? But you know, it's just like more redundancy, and it just happens to be an expensive card. So yeah, just like this deck just goes into like pretty much all my in decks that have 2 or more colors, City of Brass, Mana Confluence. And, you know, that's, you know, sometimes Exotic Orchard for, you know, perhaps like my 3 colors and 4 color decks and 5 color decks, you know. So yeah, like mana, that's the things that come to my mind. Do I have Mana Confluence in? Do I have City of Brass? Like that's kind of like when I'm getting into 2 colors, that's what I'm kind of looking for, just to, it's just so good, right? You want to have like, you want your mana to be good, and if you're not penalized for playing more than 2 colors, like this is kind of what you have to do, right? And then Prismatic Vista. This one's like a really, really cool card, really, really interesting one. The fact that it fetches basics is just really interesting to me. I feel like it's a really good slot for your 2 color decks. It doesn't have to necessarily have landfall, you know, kind of associated with it, and you're just going ahead and, you know, fetching up a basic, like basic of your choice. Very good for like, you know, your Utopia Sprawls. If you need to fetch up a forest and you need to, you know, to cast that Utopia Sprawl, you can do that. Your Prismatic Vista like enables that. So yeah, that's kind of like the gist of this video, is just kind of show you some more of my pricey cards and kind of like the decks they go into. But yeah, they're just like all like very, you know, fantastic, just high card quality. Just love them. They all have slots in different decks that I own, so that's really nice to see. So there's Ragavan, Jeweled Lotus, of course, nice. Picked this one up in a Commander Masters set booster. I actually pulled an Avacyn and a Jeweled Lotus in the same pack of a set booster. No joke. Oh no, it wasn't a set booster. It was just a draft. It was just a draft booster. That was it. Yeah. An Avacyn and a Jeweled Lotus. It was amazing. It was like a thunderstruck moment. It was like, I couldn't believe the value. It was like, these boosters are loaded, bro. I think I'll buy, you know what? Next time I get like a little bonus fun stuff, maybe when we hit 300 subscribers, you know? So go ahead and hit that button. I swear to God, if I get, you know, a couple more subscribers on here, maybe even 250, I don't care. Maybe, because I think it'll happen eventually. But yeah, I will get a draft box of Commander Masters, and we're going to get another Jeweled Lotus. It's going to be amazing. So I just know it. We'll just do it. So there's that. Or maybe we'll get a Henge or a Finale of Devastation. I would love that as well. Ancient Tomb, yes. Mox Opal, and there it is, the Great Henge. So hope you're all having a great day. What's going on right now? Well, it's really hot in Las Vegas, so don't come here unless you like torture. I think, is there like some sort of Grand Prix coming to Vegas soon? It is possible. And yeah, I mean, just prepare yourselves because it's really freaking hot right now. Get your sunscreen. You don't want to get burned here. Bring, get ready to stay hydrated. Go visit like the alkaline water store and stock up on a bunch of gallons of water because it's really hot. Other than that, I have like probably the next deck I present will be Maria Reanimator. And that one's going to be a nice one. And I have a nice list for that. I think I am waiting for some cards for that, though, as well. So there's not really anything to present. I'm just waiting on a couple cards right now. But the Aragorn deck is definitely, like, on the horizon. It's just, like I said, I really don't want to really kind of present decks to you guys until, like, I have all the cards. I'm kind of, like, working on that where none of the cards are missing because there's so many key cards. Like, I was waiting on this card in particular for this deck. I feel like it was just an injustice not to like have this to be kind of presented to you guys. The Annie joins up. So yeah, like these cards are very important for the deck, and it's important like you kind of get an eye for it. And this is basically just like a roaming throne and a removal spell for Aragorn. So it's just like a complete mega bomb. Just doubles our legendary. Just imagine this with Uro, right? Where you're casting Uro and you're getting double triggers. You're drawing 2 cards, gaining 6 life, and also playing 2 lands from your hand. That's kind of like the big stuff. So yeah, that or putting lands for Uro, right? So yeah, that's you just get double triggers, double enter the battlefield triggers. It's just double triggers in general. So yeah, Annie joins up as a complete mega bomb. So yeah, hope you guys are gonna like this deck. I really like it a lot. And I put a lot of time in it. So, I feel like it has all the right components. And, for Aragorn, I'll have to tell you, like, it's kind of one of those decks where it's like, it's just exhausting because just to keep track of all the color combinations and such, like with the lands and to kind of get to where it's, feels nice. It's a struggle for me, and it's kind of exhausting. So like this 4-color deck stuff, like, in terms of like Aragorn, I feel it's very good, but it's also something I've kind of like, kind of played it so much that I'm kind of getting burnt out on it a little bit as well. So, but yeah, I hope you do enjoy the deck because I feel like it's just at least, it's a spark that kind of like gets lit from now and then when I see a card that I really like, like for this one it was Roshin. And Roshin kind of brought the passion back for this one, and the possibilities for some like X spells and really dumping a lot of mana into our our spells. So that was kind of a fun thing. So yeah, but it's just about there. I'm just kind of getting a couple more cards just to kind of shore it up and present it to y'all. So. Yep, that's about it for today, guys. So I hope you all have a great one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.